Welcome, everyone from all over the world, from our home communities in Kauai to Europe, mainland United States, and all the many vast areas of the world. My name is Vinita Prachi Murarka, and I am the co-founder and co-trustee of Matra Sophia, a ministry, fellowship, and organization dedicated to supporting families and humanity from preconception through early childhood. Thank you so much for attending our inaugural webinar, where we're sharing as an organization with the four pillars of Ayurveda, holistic birth, indigenous wisdom, and anthroposophical or Waldorf education. Our first webinar is called Esoteric Practices for Conception, Pregnancy, and Birth, and it is with Richard Kraft, our Wisdom Circle member, and someone who's very dear and beloved to both me and Maya and our community. We also have some other Wisdom Circle members on this call. Susanna Stokes, Miranda Rice, and more may join. And we would love for you to introduce yourselves at the end of the webinar when we go into a greater community conversation, introductions, and some Q&A.
My name is Maya. I'm the co-founder and steward of Matra Sophia. I'm a mother and a grandmother. I consider myself a doula of sorts, a doula of creative expressions, and Matra Sophia has been one of those. From preconception to pregnancy to birth, here we are, and we thank you for being here. We welcome all of you with open hearts, with your gift of presence and curiosity and being receptive to the gifts of Richard. It's really great to meet all of you. Thank you for being here. I would like to introduce Richard. Richard has been an incredible friend, a beloved mentor, a radiance in our lives. He's been with us from the very beginning with great support. And he's also an accomplished and talented musician and also astrologer. He brings this really beautiful, deep connection with the sun being in his practice, personal practice, which he cultivates on Kauai and shares with us. And we felt it was really auspicious to bring him on board for our first webinar because he's working with the life-giving force of the sun. And the life-giving force of the sun supports all of us. So as we together, as humans, in this great journey of learning and discovering and remembering what it means to be a human being, we thought to bring him on board with his wisdom and knowledge and to bless us. So thank you, Richard, for being here. And also, just logistically speaking, at the end of our 1 hour together, you are welcome after we also hear from our other Wisdom Council members for a little bit to share any reflections and any questions that you might have. We might not be able to answer them all, so you can also put them on the chat so we have them, and then Richard can also address them at our next webinar. So thank you for being here and making time to support us. Richard.
Aloha. So, I'm just so happy and filled with joy to be amongst you. Before entering into our time together and the intention for this 4 weeks that we have, I'd like to create a little gathering in a circle through the work of Michelle Small Wright in the Pilarandra work that she's done, she's created this thing called a coning. And in this coning, we're bringing in um, different aspects, different energetics to be present during this time. And I feel this is really a beautiful way in which we can do this. And so, if you may, we're going to connect and call in our higher selves, this field of resonance in which we receive and we live in constantly, and which is emanating from the sun. The sun, this life giving force that's there for us, is a representation of this higher self that we have, this body that has been referred to in the Judeo Christian um, practices of our body of glory. And it is through this that we become an active participant in the universe, our inner universe and our outer universe. So we're calling in this field of resonance, knowing that it's rippling out in each one of us is like a singing bowl. This field of resonance is resounding in harmonics and creating this field that we absolutely have no idea that we can hear at times. And it's going on, and we can allow ourselves to be filled with it. So we're calling in this our higher selves, and then we're going to be calling in what she's referred to as the Great White Universal Brotherhood. She's not the first one to refer to this. This is a known term in the esoteric world, the esoteric sciences, that it's the group of these higher beings in what we call the unseen realms that are making it possible for all our evolution, our advancement, our abilities to accomplish what we came for in this incarnation. And they're resonating these choices that we made in the unseen world before incarnating, and they're allowing us to be connected with that. So the Great Universal White Brotherhood has many facets and names depending on the culture. It doesn't matter. Bring it into your own terms. It's a collectivity, a universal gathering. And in that universal gathering, this is what our soul is. We're a drop never separated from this cosmic ocean in which we're constantly plunged in which this reality of incarnation and disincarnation, of birth and rebirth, are constantly moving, symbolized by this rotation of the earth on its axis. Amazing. So the great universal brotherhood is present constantly in this movement, which is, in our universal terms, plunged in the universe, the slowest movement that exists. The Earth around its axis, which is over 26,000 miles an hour, 60,000 kilometers an hour. So you can imagine this is what we're immersed in as the journey takes place from day into night and night into day. We're in this movement constantly of change, of light into darkness and darkness into light, light into darkness. And the great universal white brotherhood is there to hold this space in this alternance of perceptional awareness. So we welcome and connect with them. And the third is the nature realm, Pan, and all the nature spirits, the elementals. Can you imagine the beauty of Earth, for those that have voyaged in so-called rockets and spaceships? They all say that seeing the earth rise, not the sunrise, but seeing the earth rise, is something extraordinary, this green emerald planet that's coming into view. It's something that's unbelievable. And those of us that have experienced that in the unseen world, that have been able to lift our consciousnesses and see the earth in this splendor of emerald beauty. This is how the nature spirits communicate. One of the ways they communicate to us, the beauty, the physical beauty of earth, no matter where we go on earth, no matter where we go. Nature is there to reflect the beauty on the outside that we hold within. So we welcome and connect to Pan and these nature spirits in whichever words and ways you want. And we're creating this coning to allow us to offer this energetic field around us. So thank you very much for participating in this coning. And I'd like to offer my intentions. So when I was invited in to offer this, so the name really is Sunrise. And I didn't give the name. I said, well, what do you want me to do? What do you want to call it? And Vinita spontaneously, without hesitation, said, Sunrise, esoteric practices for conception, pregnancy, and birth. And I added preconception just because I participated in that with Matra Sophia. I participated 5 or 6 years ago with Vinita when she arrived on Kauai. It was like where she was staying is where I'm a beekeeper. So that's where I have my beehives, or the beehives, because obviously they're not mine. The bees are theirs. I'm just with them. And so these beehives, and I was there, and suddenly Vinita comes towards me, and it was like, oh my God, do I remember you? It was obvious, this remembrance of this soul from lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes. And she remembered me. And we started speaking, and then she came over and we had dinner together, and she was passionate for education. She had done a world off teacher training in early childhood, and now she was immersed in Ayurvedic teaching and an eternal student that's plunged in this world of learning and is going to specialize in prenatal and preconception and this and that, and was going to create this center. And it was just like this world coming out of this little woman, you know. And I'm just going, whoa, what's going on? And so in that, I'd like to reveal this intention that I have is to support that. So that was the preconception. I responded, and it's not the first time in my work as an astrologer. Often I have been called in individually and couples that are opening up to calling in a soul, that's asking many questions. And so what is the principal question people ask in this domain is, who am I? They're asking that question. And it's not who I am necessarily to open up to the astrology, to this universe, and consider that the universe is alive. It has an effect upon us. It's saying who I am in the universe. That's the question. And what is this universe that we're in? What is this mystery, this discovery that we're constantly immersed in? And so in that, I responded to this call because it's not the first time. So, I mean, there's a lot I can say. So I can introduce a little bit of myself. How did I get involved in this sunrise? Well, in this lifetime, I had absolutely no difficulty in rising early. Absolutely none. And so where I lived was in a small suburb outside of the town of Boston, Massachusetts, on the East Coast in New England, and there, these suburbs were still, you could say, surrounded by nature. They hadn't been that built up, and where my parents' house was, it was surrounded by oak trees and elm trees and birch trees, and trees for me are just absolutely extraordinary. And so I remember from the earliest stage that in the morning the squirrels would come. I had these branches that would come, and so the squirrels would come, and they would just, and I would hear, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, of the day's starting, the day's starting. And so I would wake up. And so when I was able to go out on my own, I could reach the door and unlock the doors. My parents locked the doors at night. You never know who's going to come, where no one's there, but it doesn't matter. That going outside in the morning and hearing the birds sing, and that barefooted, it was like such an extraordinary experience. So that I brought with me. And I know that many of you that are listening, this is the first thing that my intention is, to participate in your memory. These memories we have are not locked into linear time. They are exactly like states of resonances. They live in nonlinear realities. And if we give ourselves permission, we're able to utilize this. And like strings or chords, we're able to interweave with different lifetime experiences. And as we do this, as we give ourselves permission to allow this resonance to awaken within us, we realize that we can create a field. We activate a field around us. And this is the intentions that Matra Sophia, the Deva, gave me. It said, yes, I would like for you in this first webinar to speak collectively what takes place when a field of awakened souls within this dawn of this new day can awaken a field and the path of consciousness and create a field of resonance in which souls can come in without forgetting. In other words, remembering. All of humanity were leaving something that a dear friend of mine has labeled it, and I love it, the great forgetting. The great forgetting. And we're entering into remembering. So the music that you heard when you came in, and those who watched the introduction, know that I've received and I've written a collection of pieces that are dedicated for birth, for supporting principally the activation of these paths of consciousness, that collectively we can make a difference. And there are people now on this webinar right now that have dedicated their lives to this, that I've known, that I've met at a very young age, and they've gone on and they've met thousands of people from all over the world and created associations and organizations that are working to create this field in all different areas of birth, all different areas of conception, preconception, pregnancy, and early childhood, exactly what Matra Sophia has been born into. They've been born into a frequency that has been prepared for them, exactly like us. What did we do for our physical body? We received it. What do we do for the sunlight? We receive it. What do we do for our lungs? They breathe in air. We don't do anything. Is it possible for us as human beings now to recognize that in all facets of our lives to the best of our ability, and to bring this forth into the field of consciousness so that we can support these souls coming in with all their radiance. And we're going to activate these paths, hopefully, if I can get to there, because I'm like a parrot, you know. None of this is me speaking. It's the collective soul that we're creating. It's this coning that we're creating. And I'm putting myself at the disposition of the overriding deva of Matra Sophia to the best of my ability. So at a very young age, I had an experience that was absolutely extraordinary. I met at probably 16 years old, I met for my first astrologer. And at that time, you know, astrology wasn't done through the charts, weren't done through a computer. Everything was done by hand. And this person that I met, he wasn't doing my chart. He was an extraordinary musician and at the same time an astrologer. And I saw that, this chart. It was so beautiful. It was amazing. And it awoken in me my place in the universe. I knew that I had one. My environment in which I was plunged in did not give me that message, but my soul history constantly said that to me. And this completely opened me up, completely. And I know that each one of you has had these experiences. I invite you to bring them into the circle. It's not important what I'm saying. It's important what you are living. That's the most important, because in your life experience, you are creating with this field that collectively we're a part of now. And there's people, as I said, that have done this, that are connected to us that aren't physically on there, and I'll mention their names. So there's one that's created that we met on Kauai. Her name is Sunny Carl, who has written several books. One that is absolutely an extraordinary book called Sacred Birthing. And she would have been with us today, except that Saturdays is their day of Sacred Birthing Foundation to come together and work as a team. And I said to her, well, that's perfect. As a team, we're amplifying these pathways. And she completely resonates with that. And so at her time in Kauai, we worked very extensively together. So she's present. There's a man and his wife, Francois Migue, and his wife, Lupka, that are present with us on the physical form. And they've created associations. They've worked with an association called Association of Prenatal Education that's started in the late 70s, that have gone on, 1970, obviously, that has gone on and has touched thousands and thousands of people, bringing awareness of this magical experience of birth and how we can, as a soul, connect and bring forth a completely different awareness and relationship to this field. And the work of Francois and Julie Gerland, who've created an association called Birthing a New Humanity, who's working all over the world. All over the world, they're bringing forth these notions. And there are many others in Kauai that we're connected with. So these beings and the beings that you are carrying are present with us. And constantly we have an ability to connect and amplify this field. So in my path, to come back to astrology, when I saw this, it created an incredible opening in with me. And very shortly after that, early in the morning, I was lying on the grass, looking up at the sky, beautiful blue sky, and I saw all the zodiac. I saw all these beings that we call astrological signs with their icon, with their archetype. I experienced that within this expanded universe and this movement and the Surya moving across the sky. You see the sun chariot. It was the most unbelievable experience that I could have at that time. And so I closed my eyes, I reopened my eyes, and I just went, what's going on? And it was still there. And I realized, well, at that young age, what did I know? I didn't know anything. And even now, what do I know? I know a tiny bit more. That I'm integrating. This was absolutely for me the most important, that the universe is alive. It's not a thing. It's filled with beings that we've called in, that are present with us, and that are assisting us constantly in this wheel of incarnation and disincarnation. And so my journey brought me into Europe at the age of 21, and I was able to continue my musical experience, auditing courses at the Conservatory of Paris, living there, and as far as offering musical theater to children and blah, blah, blah. And so in that, after a certain time, there was this overwhelming urge to go to the home of Orpheus in northern Greece. Absolute, because mythology for me was so important. It responded to something, and I knew that these weren't stories. They were experiences of the soul, and I remembered. So I'd like to pay our attention to the word memory. And in French, mémoire, memory. So memory is extraordinary because it's made out of mem, ori. Mem is one of the root letters in the Hebrew alphabet. Aleph, mem, shin. These three immense principles that we find in every expression, every culture of creation. So mem is this divine mother, the divine principle, this soul, the cosmic ocean of love that's furnishing, constantly responding to this life force that's entering in. And so memory is the story of our soul, is the story of our soul. And through our memory, we're able to connect to the story of our soul, our myth. This is our myth. Our mythological journey is not something imaginary. It comes through our imagination because our mind is learning little by little how to connect with that. It's still at grammar school, and even mine probably still at nursery school. I don't even know if I've reached that yet. So the imagination, though, that's something I brought with me. I lived in that to such an extent that these gifts were given. And so I had this desire, this push to go in that direction. And as I was going through Switzerland, my soul path radically changed. And suddenly I found myself high up in the mountains and experiencing a teaching coming from this bearded man that you see perhaps behind me. That name is Omra Michael Ivanhoff. And in that, I remembered a real life experience that 2 years before that, I saw this face coming out of the rising sun. So no one had to teach me. I didn't have to be told to go to the rising sun. I brought that with me, just like all of you are bringing things with you. We haven't come in here empty handed. We're coming in here with an immense reservoir. And so I'm inviting you all to allow this reservoir its full capacity right now in this moment to express itself. So meeting this man, it awoken in me. It was obvious that I had a connection, that this was it. And so my life's journey took me to his main school in southern France, where this practice of sunrise came into being. So we're there. Esoteric practices, sunrise. And these practices I was able to enter into and deepen collectively and individually, and feel through the practice of Omra Mikhail Ivanov, through his beingness and his teaching, this solar rishis, this legacy that absolutely I experienced, and I was continuing in this lifetime. How is that possible? I couldn't invent that. It's not possible. Like your stories, we can't invent them. They're myths. They've been prepared. We've prepared them before incarnating. So this is what Matra Sophia wants for me to talk about, to share, to bring forth. That we haven't come here without agreeing, without knowing. We've just forgotten, that's all. And we're constantly remembering. May you always remember who you are. May you always know that you come from the stars. A divine spark from the fire of creation. Remember forever you are the perfection. Remember forever you are the perfection. You are light. You are love. You are beauty. Remember who you are eternally. So the song that was given, and that's just the chorus that was given, was asked of me to create a field of resonance so that I could accompany couples, individuals, collective fields of consciousness and their own way to create the conditions of this great remembering. Imagine that. Imagine the impact that we enter in remembering. So now we enter into what is this class number one. It is to, as a human being with a capital H, standing straight, connecting heaven and earth. We're able to be a conduit of this macrocosmos, this immensity of universe, and the microcosmos, our little journey, created by this rotation of the earth on its axis. So in reality, the course is not called sunrise, it's also called sunrise and sunset. We can't separate birth from rebirth. We can't separate birth from death. And I'd like to invite you into this awakening that's going on in what we call hospice, in accompanying these souls as they leave their physical bodies, as they leave their experience here on earth, that they open up this extraordinary portal in which souls then can come forth in the best conditions, simply by remembering. Simply by remembering. That's all. Do we need to do really anything else? And through that remembering, of course, we're on earth to experience, to do things, and it's through that experience that this field of remembering comes forth. And this dissipation of fog, exactly like the sun rising, brings this fog up from the earth and dissipates. Wouldn't that be a wonderful way to deal with the insanity that's going on here on earth? That we together can create this field of consciousness that can dissipate this fog that forgetting has created. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's nothing else. And so, in that, what has been shared with us from all cultures, it has been said the greatest wisdom that exists, greatest wisdom, is knowing how to die. How to let go, surrender, let go of our attachment. That's the greatest wisdom. And what's the greatest ability to be born? Is love. We're born from a notion of love. We come from that. So all the people that have done near-death experiences that we call born again, they all say the same thing, that the love that they've experienced is beyond anything. And I know that each one of you that's here and each one of you that are going to listen will recognize this. So this is the wheel of our destiny on earth as the sun rises and as the sun sets. This movement is allowing us to enter into these great principles in which life is the result of this light of wisdom, of reintegrating into this immensity of the universe, and this awareness and gratitude and joy and just beauty of knowing that we're immersed in an ocean of love, that everyone is carrying within them a particle of this love, a drop of this love. And if we can hold that frequency and see each one like that, well then, up the fog lifts. So this is one of the first things, esoteric practices, that was taught in these initiatic schools, that the young adept, disciple, student, call it what you want, person, was invited to rise before the sun and greet the coming day with gratitude. I love you. Thank you. May you be blessed. That simple practice of blessing creation created an environment that we have absolutely no idea. Absolutely none. So this was one of the first lessons that I received. And in that, in one of the lectures that Om Ramikal Ivanov gave, he said that we're plunged in an ocean, a cosmic ocean, in which everything is recorded. Everything. Universal memory. We're plunged in that. Everything. He said the slightest stone, plant, animal, human beings, everything is there. This is what we've come from. And these souls that are now coming in we have the possibility, and this is the invitation that I'm offering everyone now, is to place an awareness of that in their own way, of activating that memory, that in the passage of these souls through this cosmic ocean, through the different layers of creation, and which has been expressed in many, 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 many different ways. Express it in your myth, your story, your soul journey. I so honor that. And one day, this will be the education. This will be the education. The first thing will be sharing our soul journey together. And everyone will see the diversity of that. So I lived on a physical level, on a physical plane in the school of Omrami Leidenhof. I lived going to sunrise, in which little babies, pregnant women and fathers, and we call brothers and sisters, men and women that were just meeting, falling in love, they encountered the beginning of this day. I lived that on a physical level every day. I lived children drawing the sun with a big smiling face. That wrote something in me, and I absolutely knew that this was not the first time I've lived this. So in the midst of all my life experience, born in the United States, in a suburb outside of Boston, suddenly I find myself in southern France on a rock on the Mediterranean before dawn, watching the sunrise and climbing up this small little hill in silence, opening up to this mystery. How is that possible? That's our myth. That is our myth. And as we invite these souls to enter into their myth, as we prepare the conditions for that, it's absolutely extraordinary. So, will there be an educational system, program, methodology that will be based upon that? That at the rising sun, families will come together and they will begin their day in this state of reverence. Well, my wife Gretchen and I, we believe that. We absolutely, in 1000% of our being, because we lived it as individuals, very different before we met on a physical plane. And then together as two souls coming together, walking a journey, co-creating to the best of our abilities, and bringing forth this vision that we both lived. Is it the only way? Of course not. There'll be thousands of ways of expressing, yet sunrise and sunset, day and night. Believe me, that's going to go on for a little bit of time. And it's a common expression that we can all connect with, that we can all enter in. So this is the practice. One of the first practices is blessing creation. And in this benediction, this blessing of creation, awakening in the morning before the sun rises, as we go out, we're recognizing the beings that we called in, the nature realms. We're recognizing them. And we can say to them, oh, you, the gnomes, I love you. I love you. Be blessed. And you, the undines, these water spirits, all the waters on earth, can you imagine? That are bringing forth this life energy. I love you. I love you. Be blessed. And you, the sylphs, this movement, this constant movement of spirit that we know on the waters of the soul. Allow yourself to enter into your images. We can say, I love you. Be blessed. And we're walking towards this sun and we're recognizing the spirits of fire, known as the salamanders, but we're recognizing also the spirits in the Judeo-Christian tradition known as the malachims, these beings that live in the sun, that are radiant, because that's our destiny. Our destiny is to become a radiant being. And the destiny of the earth is to become a sun. That's what it's all going to become. So that the sun can move on and it can create a whole new creation. All these beings are moving on. So there's this constant evolution and involution that's going on, this respiration of creation. And so I would like to invite us for now, in our own way. Vinita, can you put on, not yet, but can you get ready, the respiration of the soul? So in this teaching, oh boy, 10 minutes. Can you imagine? I have 10 minutes. We have 10 minutes. So in this respiration of the soul, there's a dance that was created by the teacher of our teacher, whose name is Peter Denov. This dance is called the Panarrhythmia. It's composed of 3 movements. The first movement is 28 movements. That's bringing the adept into harmony with the universe. This movement, these 4 fundamentally movements, these 4 spirits that we're blessing as we're approaching the sun. That's the first 28 movements. The second is called the sun rays. We're entering into contact with these malachims, with these beings in the sun. We're approaching them at sunrise. We're allowing ourselves to enter into them and then coming back out. Thank you, Skippy. And the third is called the pentagram. We're tracing the perfection of a human being with a capital H. So if you may, I'm just going to read the words of the song or the movement that's done before. So this is the 27th movement of these 28 movements. And it's called the grand morning, the great morning, the great morning. This is the morning of remembering. This is our great morning. We're entering in to the dawn of our soul, the dawn of Aquarius, the promised land. You see, we created this promise. We gave our assent to this promise that we will be conduits of this dawning age of all humanity, where everyone will live in peace, goodwill, happy, joyful, in health. So, Peter Denov, he wrote the words. The music is so beautiful. He said, those that rise early and on the green grass dance in the limpid dew. Green grass that dance in this limpid dew will be young eternally within beauty, health, and abundance forever. And in this perfect wisdom, they triumph over death. So this cycle has a destiny of the great morning in which we're going to live, the dawning of humanity. So I would like for us, this music lasts 2 minutes and 40 seconds. I harmonized, it's an ascending scale. In the descending scale, it does 3 times ascending, 3 times descending, and then it starts on the 3rd, of the major chord of the scale, for those that know music. It's a combination, a merging of these two great principles, masculine and feminine. The Heavenly Father, the Divine Mother, say them as you would like. And so in this music, it's synthetic instruments. I'm excusing for that. We won't put the music on loud, but I like this accompaniment. And the movement is we have the 5 fingers on our heart chakra. And as we open, the scale begins and we bring these ascendant forces into our heart. We open again. And then we bring this. So this is called respiration. And I add respiration of the soul. Vinita, could you put the music and we'll activate these pathways of incarnation and discarnation with our life energy.
It wasn't able to be heard. Is that
okay? It's perfect. It's perfect. So we're going to do a silent meditation then for 1 minute. And we're allowing ourselves to enter into that. And as we enter into that pathways, we're imagining this pathway leaving our physical bodies, going through the sphere of the moon, these angelic beings entering into the sphere of Mercury, the archangels, entering into the spheres of Venus, of the archives, these planetary beings that are occupying themselves with this ascension of Mother Gaia. They're our grandparents, the Venus. And then arriving at the sun. And from there, we allow ourselves to deposit our etheric body that has allowed us to take on physicality. It's allowed us to be in this physical body. And in that, we give that to the beings of Mars, their sacrifice that they've made to stay with us in these dense regions of the Earth's consciousness. And they're now evolving. Humanity has reached a point where we're responsible for our life force, even though the outside picture doesn't seem that way. And we continue our journey. And we enter through this asteroid belt into Jupiter, this region of space, infinite space, where we visit once again the garden of our soul. And all the seeds that we've harvested from this last experience, we give to these beings, because when we incarnate, we're going to take them up again and receive others with that, to plant the garden of our soul. And we continue on to these extraordinary beings of destiny that are in the sphere of Saturn, that have all the holograms that exist, these extraordinary sacred geometries of forces, the archetypes of the universe. And from there, we allow ourselves this encounter once again with our divine parents. We're recognizing them and the abilities that they gave us to incarnate in matter, to continue our soul experiences. And then on through Uranus, where we enter in to this illuminated field of eternal light, of endless light, infinite light, reintegrate into this cosmic ocean of Neptune, of love, and then through the portal of Pluto, enter into this center of this sun, the invisible sun, that in the Bulgarian language, in the Slavic language, is known as Videlinata, Veda in Sanskrit. To see, but see what? Creation. So in that, we've illuminated these pathways, and we've created that, and now we're allowing ourselves to come back down through that. We emerge, and through this cosmic ocean, we come into this light. And in this light, we're outside of this field of cause and consequence. We're in this third energetics. We're in the center of the wheel of destiny. And from this wheel of destiny, we encounter our divine parents in Saturn, where we receive our soul purposes. And we receive that and we agree upon it. We're blessed with this covenant of the rainbow. We experience it. That's in our memory. Why is it? I was invited to at a retreat, and the rainbow became a symbol for everybody. Everybody had a resonance with that. Why? Because it's our covenant, our promise, our agreement with our divine parents, who's saying, we'll provide everything for you. Don't worry about it. That's not your job. We do that. Your job is to experience. Go for it. And then through that, we come into Jupiter, into our garden, and we receive the seeds in which we will play and plant. And we get a glimpse of what we left behind us and how we can edify and change our garden so it can become an expression now. Exactly in the Ringing Cedar series, for those that have read that, of Anastasia, that everyone will cultivate their garden. And all these gardens are what is creating, once again, this Garden of Eden. It's all our individual gardens. The earth will be a garden, and we'll go from garden to garden, and it will be amazing. And then we enter into Mars, where we receive once again our etheric body that's been held for us, and which we can then communicate with the energies of the universe through the different centers that will be established as we can continue our journey. And there in the sun, we deposit a part of ourselves, as we said, our higher self, this part of resonance, because the earth has not yet been fully prepared, and perhaps in our karmic field, in our genetic makeup, we still need to do some purification and work upon ourselves, that these vibrations, they're kept in safekeeping, in which we can enter into communication every day at sunrise and receive drop by drop these states of resonance. And there'll be beings coming in completely intact. And I know some. It's amazing. And so next, we come through the sun, we enter into the construction of our mental body through Mercury. Enter into that. We establish a connection to our individual expression. And we enter into the realms of Venus, in which we can establish this feeling body, the three different layers of our soul, the sentient soul that we have through sensation, feeling, and memory. It's extraordinary. This feeling body that we have. And then little by little, we're in the realm of the moon where the conception takes place. Our parents come together with all the guardian angels that are present, and they come together. And then during these 9 months of pregnancy, these 9 moons that take place, there's an ebb and a flow, an ebb and a flow of this ascending and descending currents. We're living disincarnation and incarnation. We're living that birth and rebirth are never separate. So, thank you so much for joining this first class. I feel honored and privileged to listen and hopefully translate the words of Matra Sophia into the consciousnesses of your soul. Respond to the highest inspirations that you're carrying. And Benita, mahalo.
Thank you so much, Richard, for bringing in this transmission, for bringing your heart, for bringing the spiritual world into our consciousness, and for opening up our global webinar series to create this coherent field of remembrance of who we truly are, not just as human beings, but as spiritual beings. I would There are a few special guests who are also on this call who are officially part of our wisdom circle, which is what Richard is a part of. And these are members of our community who have stewarded organizations, who have stewarded this energy, and are strong supports of what we are co-creating together. And I'd like to share their biography and also have them introduce themselves, starting with um, our godmother for Mater Sophia, Miranda Rice. Miranda Rice has been a conscious student of spirituality, nature, oneness, body-mind healing, trauma release, human potential, childbirth, spiritual awakening, and transformation for over 35 years. She is a hypnotherapist, Ayurvedic life science consultant, and a sacred birthing instructor. She is also a singer-songwriter and empowerment choir director. Miranda is the mother of two beautiful daughters, stepmother to twin boys, and a grandmother to four exquisite granddaughters. Her wisdom, presence, and devotion to conscious transformation enrich our vision of honoring sacred beginnings and nurturing the soul of humanity. Miranda, I know I've put you in the spotlight. Would you like to say a few words? You can give me a thumbs up if that feels good, and um, but it's not, it's an invitation, is what I'd like to say.
Can you hear me, Benita? You can, because I can't find my picture anymore on there, so I don't know how to bring me forward in that way. But I can speak my heart, and oh, I'm so happy to have found the site this morning, and to be to be a part of this. Richard, thank you for shining your light so beautifully for all of us, and I'm so honored to be linked to this beautiful vision, this beautiful momentum. And I just look forward to much more interconnection and bringing this into the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Miranda. I would also like to introduce Susanna Rose Stokes, a dear friend. Susanna Rose Stokes is a former Marine Corps officer turned founder of Metamorphosis, an ecosystem of initiatives supporting the ethical, legal, and spiritual stewardship of psychedelic healing. After serving two combat tours in Afghanistan, Susanna experienced a profound spiritual awakening that catalyzed her life's devotion to sacred service. Fluent in Mandarin and Spanish, she brings a global perspective to her work. She authored Entheogenerated, a groundbreaking research paper synthesizing decades of psychedelic science and social transformation. Her leadership, which we really appreciate, is rooted in love, sovereignty, and remembrance, and she speaks often about the return of communal rights, the role of altered states in conscious evolution, and the emergence of a new paradigm of leadership. I'm also going to add that Susanna is also a new mama.
Yes, after hearing Miranda's, I realized I need to add Atreyu to my biography. And he is by far the piece de resistance of my life. So I'm deeply grateful to lead him. Thank you, Richard, for this beautiful transmission. I'm listening to conversations with God right now, and so much of what you shared is resonant in that book, so it's coming through very powerfully, and we just so need more light, more sun energy in this world, and a deep reverence for it. So I'm deeply grateful to be here in this collective and to share the light with all of you. Blessings, and thank you, Vidita and Maya, for everything that you're doing to build Matre Sophia. We need it.
Thank you. Maya, would you like to close us off?
Sure. Thank you, everyone. If you would like to just write down a reflection or a question into the chat, we can have that, and we're more than available to answer you by email until the next webinar, and also we can have those available for Richard for next week. So thank you so much for being here with us. Really an honor to hold space for you and for your remembering. Thank you, Richard, for this beautiful transmission from the heart. It is needed. It is welcome. I can't wait to get us together in person to greet the sun with you on Kauai. We're going to make that happen, and we invite you all to come when that happens. But for now, this is what we have. It's how can we use technology in the best way possible? And I really do believe this is a gift that we can do that with you this way through webinars. So until next week, I hope you all come next week. And aloha.
A miracle has blessed our lives in creation. From the farthest reaching star, I can see you. You nourish me as I give my life to nourish you. For in each other we are never alone. My breath is your life, life inspiration. My blood your pure stream that ever flows. My movement carries your soul destination. The mystery that will unfold. You are happiness, you are togetherness. We are welcoming you into your new home. You are peacefulness, you are pure consciousness. We are welcoming you your new home.